Inside the INFJ mind, the storm behind the calm. In a world overflowing with loud voices, constant motion, and relentless demands for your attention, there exists a rare kind of mind, quiet on the outside yet roaring with intensity beneath the surface. Still as a lake yet swirling like a storm beneath the waves, carrying dreams, fears, visions, and unspoken truths that few ever see or truly understand. Today, we step inside that mind. The INFJ mind, the place where storms form behind calm eyes, where intuition becomes a compass, where empathy becomes a superpower, and where silence holds entire universes. If you've ever wondered why you feel everything so deeply, why your thoughts stretch far beyond the moment, or why you seem to hold 1,000 unspoken conversations all at once, then this is your journey. This is inside the INFJ mind, the storm behind the calm. 1. The outer calm and the inner universe. There is something unmistakable about the INFJ presence. Something subtle yet powerful. Like standing near the edge of a forest at dawn or hearing the soft rumble of thunder in the distance. You may not fully understand it, but you sense something deeper waiting underneath. To the outside world, you appear composed, gentle, thoughtful, and endlessly patient. The kind of person who listens longer than most. Who waits before speaking. Who notices what others overlook. Who gives without asking. Who cares without being asked. People often assume that you are peaceful simply because you are quiet. That your calm expression means a calm mind. That your stillness reflects an absence of struggle. But they do not see the truth woven between your thoughts, the truth that your calm is devotion. Not emptiness, restraint, not silence. Discipline, not indifference. Inside, your mind is a world of constant motion, layered emotions, and relentless analysis. A place where every choice is examined from a dozen angles. Every word is replayed, every possibility explored. Every emotion dissected until it reveals what it's trying to teach you. You are the storm behind the calm, soft winds on the outside, but thunder within. 2. The INFJ's intuition, seeing what others don't. Perhaps one of the most defining features of your mind is the way your intuition stretches beyond the present moment, pulling information from subtle details others miss, stitching patterns from conversations you weren't supposed to hear, aligning expressions, gestures, microtensions, and contradictions into one elegant insight that feels less like a thought and more like a revelation. Your intuition isn't simply a feeling, it's a deep psychological radar that runs in the background of your mind at all times, quietly tracking emotional shifts, noticing inconsistencies, predicting the outcomes of situations long before they unfold. People often ask how you knew, how you sensed something was off. How you recognized that someone was hurting despite their smile. How you predicted the collapse of something that looked perfectly stable on the surface. And you often struggle to explain it. Because the truth is that your mind is constantly processing, interpreting, connecting perspective to perspective, feeling to feeling, possibility to possibility. You are like a lighthouse, scanning the horizon for danger and beauty alike, guiding others through storms they don't even know they're entering. But the hardest part of having this intuition is the burden of seeing too much, caring too deeply, predicting outcomes you wish you were wrong about, and carrying emotions that don't even belong to you. 3. Empathy as a superpower and a weight. Empathy for you isn't a mood, it's a lifestyle. A constant awareness of emotional temperature. A deep sensitivity to disappointment, tension, hope, confusion, exhaustion, longing, and fear in others, often before they feel it themselves. You don't just sense someone's mood, you absorb it, mirror it, internalize it, analyze it, and hold it until you understand it. Even if it drains you, even if it hurts, even if the other person has no idea the weight you're lifting for them. This ability makes you a safe haven for many. The person others confide in at midnight. The person strangers open up to unexpectedly. The person friends rely on for wisdom, stability, and compassion. But this superpower comes with a cost: emotional fatigue, compassion overload, the feeling of being stretched too thin between the needs of others and the needs you rarely express. The quiet exhaustion that builds when you spend too much time caring without receiving the same depth in return. Sometimes you give so much that people forget you need anything too. Sometimes you appear so self-sufficient that others assume you never break. Never cry, never struggle, never drift into despair. Yet inside, you are carrying a storm no one sees. 4. The INFJ's private world, depth, dreams, and hidden layers. Even those closest to you often see only the surface layer of who you are. Because the deepest parts of your personality remain hidden, carefully protected behind thoughtful smiles, gentle nods, and quiet reassurances. Your real thoughts, your visions, fears, dreams, spiritual questions, existential puzzles, moral dilemmas, emotional battles, and philosophical reflections live inside a private inner world that you rarely open, and only to those who have proven their safety over long periods of time. This inner world is not small. It is vast, like a sprawling library filled with books that never stop writing themselves, full of stories about who you were, who you are, who you want to become, and the impact you hope to make in a world that often feels chaotic and overwhelming. You are someone who thinks in layers, layers of meaning, layers of symbolism, layers of motive and consequence, and your mind is constantly mapping the emotional truth behind situations, often in silence. The challenge is that many people misunderstand your quietness as distance, when in truth you are simply navigating an inner landscape so intricate that words often feel insufficient. 5. Why INFJs feel like old souls. You have likely been called an old soul, someone who sees life through a timeless lens, someone whose wisdom seems beyond your years, someone whose presence feels grounded, reflective, and strangely comforting. This is because INFJs naturally see beyond the moment, beyond the surface, beyond temporary emotions or impulsive reactions. You think in terms of purpose, growth, morality, and deeper truth. You often understand human behavior not because you study it, but because you feel it, because you've been observing it your entire life, because you carry the emotional memory of every conversation, every heartbreak, every smile, every disappointment. Being an old soul makes you compassionate, patient, and intentional, but it also makes you lonely. Because while you long for deep, soulful connection, you often find that many relationships lack the emotional depth or spiritual resonance you need. So you wait. You observe. You give pieces of yourself gradually, carefully, intentionally, always hoping someone will understand you without needing explanations. Without shallow assumptions, without fear of the emotional truth that lives within you. 6. The INFJ loneliness, unknown, misread, and misunderstood. One of the most painful aspects of being an INFJ is the persistent feeling of being misunderstood. Not because you hide yourself intentionally, but because your mind operates on wavelengths many people never tune into. You think deeply, speak cautiously, and feel profoundly, and this often creates a gap between you and the world, a gap filled with assumptions, misinterpretations, and missed emotional signals. People may mistake your quietness for disinterest, your analysis for overthinking, your empathy for naivety, your boundaries for coldness, your sensitivity for weakness, your silence for agreement, and your kindness for something they are entitled to. And so you retreat, not out of bitterness, but out of exhaustion. Out of the desire to protect your inner world from those who rush through life without noticing the delicate emotions they step on. This loneliness is not the kind that comes from being physically alone, it's the loneliness of feeling unseen, of being known only on the surface, of carrying emotional storms no one else recognizes. 7. Conflict and the INFJ avoidance of chaos. If there is one thing your calm exterior hides most carefully, it is your aversion to chaos. Conflict, tension, hostility, confusion, these are the emotional environments that drain you faster than anything else. Because they disrupt your inner harmony and overload your sensitivity. You don't fear conflict because you are fragile. You fear it because you feel it too intensely. Because every raised voice sends vibrations through your nervous system. Because every unresolved tension triggers your intuition. Because you absorb the emotional aftermath like a sponge. But the world does not always understand this. They mistake your avoidance for passivity, when in reality, you are simply trying to maintain stability in an environment that feels too loud, too sharp, too overwhelming for the emotional depth you carry. 8. The INFJ urge to help, heal, and fix. There is a quiet drive inside you, a calling almost, to help others grow. heal, transform, or become the best versions of themselves. And this desire shapes much of your behavior. You see potential in people long before they see it in themselves. You offer emotional insight without being asked. You encourage others in ways you wish someone would encourage you. You love deeply, not always romantically but spiritually, psychologically, and altruistically. But this urge to help is also where many INFJs lose themselves. You invest in others to the point of depletion. You carry burdens that were never yours. You hope your support will be reciprocated someday, even though deep down you know it usually won't be. And when you finally reach your limit, people are often shocked because they never realized how much you were carrying for them behind the scenes. 9. The INFJ, storm, overthinking, emotional buildup, and the rare explosion. Although you appear calm, your mind is rarely still. You gather information constantly, analyze emotions deeply, anticipate outcomes, dissect motives, replay interactions, and try to connect every scattered thread until it forms a coherent picture. Most days, your inner storm is contained, a quiet swirl of reflection and intuition. But sometimes, it becomes too much. The emotional overload builds quietly, gradually, invisibly, until a single moment triggers everything at once. Suddenly, the calm breaks. You withdraw, shut down, cry in silence, or snap unexpectedly, shocking those who assumed you didn't feel anything at all. These storms are rare, but when they come, they remind you that even gentle souls have limits, that even calm lakes hide powerful currents. 10. The INFJ growth arc, transforming pain into purpose. What makes the INFJ mind so extraordinary is not the storm itself, but what you do with it. You don't simply endure pain, you transform it. You don't simply experience setbacks, you learn from them. You don't simply feel deeply, you turn those emotions into insight, compassion, wisdom, and life direction. Your struggles become your teachings. Your wounds become your depth. Your heartbreaks become your clarity. Your resilience becomes your gift to others. This ability to alchemize suffering into purpose is what makes you a natural counselor, mentor, artist, healer, and visionary. Someone whose life is shaped by meaning rather than circumstance. 11. The INFJ need for solitude and sacred retreat. Solitude is not a preference for you, it is essential nourishment. You need time alone to process emotions, release the energies you absorb from others, explore your inner world, and reconnect with your intuition. Without solitude, your mind becomes cluttered, your emotions tangled, your clarity clouded. This retreat is not escapism, it is restoration, cleansing, grounding, and preparation for the next chapter of growth. People may misunderstand your need for space, assuming you are distancing yourself or losing interest. But in truth, you are simply returning home to recharge the powerful inner engine that drives your empathy, insight, and creativity. 12. The INFJ purpose, your reason for being. At the heart of your existence lies a quiet but persistent desire for purpose, not success as society defines it. Not recognition, not power, but meaning that resonates with your soul. You want to create change, whether small or profound. You want to leave people better than you found them. You want to express your inner truth through art, words, service, innovation, or compassion. You want your life to feel aligned with your values, your intuition, and your emotional truth. Without purpose, you feel lost. With purpose, you become unstoppable. If you carry storms behind your calm, if you hold empathy like a torch in the dark, if you feel the world too deeply and yet continue loving it anyway, then know this. Your quiet strength is not accidental. Your emotional depth is not a flaw. Your intuition is not imagination. Your loneliness is not a failure. You are built differently because you are meant for a different purpose, something deeper, something meaningful, something profoundly human. The world may not always understand you, but it needs you, the depth you bring, the insight you offer, the empathy you embody, the purpose you pursue. You are the storm behind the calm, and inside you lives a universe no one else could ever replicate.